is CBC Television. Newswatch, weeknights at 6 and 11 on CBC 6.
The festivities began in Mexico City even before the World Cup began, and these Mexicans expect to do much more celebrating as their team proceeds through the competition. Playing at home should be a big advantage for Mexico, both from the home crowd and familiar playing conditions. But there's also great pressure on Mexico. Nevertheless, the host team has won 5 of the 12 previous World Cups. Hello, everyone. Welcome to World Cup Control here in Mexico City. Group B action begins today, and there's a great deal of excitement as the host team plays its first game against Belgium. We'll also update you on Group D action between Northern Ireland and Algeria in Guadalajara. But now let's go live to Azteca Stadium. Here are Jeff Gowan and Sam Lenarduzzi.
And at Azteca Stadium, not a totally full house, but a very, very large crowd. I think there's no question, as we look at the Mexican lineup, that there will be a great many doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, visits to the opticians, family bereavement in Mexico today. None of the employers believing a word of it, of course. On the way here, thousands and thousands of crowds with Mexicans sitting on the car door ledges, waving the Mexican flag. This, their first game of the competition, and if they can defeat Belgium today, they will certainly be celebrating in Mexico City tonight. It has been wet in Mexico. It is the rainy season. It is not overbearingly hot, but we are at an altitude of over 7,000 feet. The Belgians complained of the pitch yesterday. They said the grass was too long. Italy and Bulgaria complained about the condition of the pitch after their opening game. There was a promise that the grass has been mown, but this pitch will be wet, it will be yielding, and in parts even slippery. And therefore chances may be won or lost as a result of players being unable to keep their feet, and there will have been a selection of long cleats for this game. Faff, and the crowd do not like this. They tolerate it when Mexico are doing it, of course, but they certainly don't like it when Belgium are doing it.
Well, Jeff, the last time these two countries met was in Mexico City, of course, in 1970, in a first-round match, and in that one, Belgium came away with a 1-0 victory, and we'll have to see how it goes today for them.
Referee played the advantage on that foul, so Belgium moving towards the area. The Mexicans tackling hard and fast. Not having any problem at all with the altitude, this Mexican side, of course, because they have been together for 18 months in special preparation. The players released from their clubs, only returning to their clubs to play league games. They have played, in fact, 62 games in preparation for this World Cup. So they are thoroughly prepared, and they have the weight of a nation on their shoulders. There's no question about that. We use this term a great deal in sport, sometimes carelessly. But in this example, it is undoubtedly true. The expectations of this nation on this Mexican team. And if Belgium can hold them today or even gain a victory, it will be very interesting to see what the reaction in Mexico City will be tonight. So the early testing out, feeling the security of the underfoot conditions in the pitch, testing one another. Nothing spectacular happened at all yet. And the crowd solidly behind this Mexican side. Sanchez. Huge expectations of this man with a suspect left knee. Top scorer in the Spanish league, playing for Real Madrid. Top scorer the year before. Two goals for Real this year, and plays alongside Valdano, who scored for Argentina yesterday. 5 years he's played in the Spanish league, and he believes he's an inspiration to the rest of the Mexican players by showing them what Mexican players can do on the world scene. Now a chance for Mexico, looking for Sanchez. Now Mexico looking threatening, overlapping down the left side, trying to keep on side. Solomon coming back to help from the Belgian midfield. Vandenberg. Solomons again, now Schifo in possession, born of Sicilian parents. A good long ball by Belgium. The Mexican attacker trying to climb up his back, but in fact it's the kick to
Belgium will really have to be on their toes today. You can hear the crowd in the background. It's very noisy, and I know from playing on this field once before that when you're on that field you just can't hear yourself think. So there won't be a lot of talking between players. It'll have to be an understanding.
So that climbing up the back of the Belgian player results in a free kick. To nobody in particular. Everybody waiting for the offside trap, and therefore no Belgian deeming it worthwhile risking going forward in pursuit of that kick. And so it will be Pablo Larios, the goalkeeper, 27 years of age, who will take this kick. The manager of Mexico, Bora Milutinovic, who himself was an international player, Yugoslavian international. They've had 62 preparation games. Some people might say it's too many, but they certainly should be familiar with each other's play. The only man who's not been in those games is Hugo Sanchez, because his Real Madrid duties kept him away, and he's only played twice in this Mexican team. But he's the sort of talented player that Milutinovic thinks will be able to fit into the team very, very easily. Now, a kick to Mexico. The Belgian wall forming, just a three-man wall. Thomas Boy will take this kick. One of the talented players of this well-prepared Mexican side. Long bending ball, could have been difficult. Just came to earth in front of Jean-Marie Prat. But the threat capably countered, and so it's Belgium who will move this ball out. Belgium with an interesting mixture, some experienced players and some very promising youngsters, so they shouldn't be short of pace. That's a good catch. Good catch indeed by Larios. He's had a lot of drilling by the coach on the collection of high balls, because this was one of his weaknesses, and he showed very capably there that the drilling has paid off. That was a difficult ball to take, and Larios handled it very well. There is the great Hugo Sanchez, bringing that wealth of experience from 5 years playing in Spain. Now, Belgium moving this ball out. Ground heavy. Times that it has had treatment since the opening game. The pattern very different from the diamond-like patterns that we saw when Italy played Bulgaria. Long probing ball down the left side. Couteren, on whom many Belgian hopes are placed. Nice ball, trying to penetrate into the box, but the Mexican defense alert to that threat and playing the ball out. Mexico 23rd on the all-time World Cup table. They've played 24 games. They have only won 3, drawn 4, lost 17, 20 goals for and 62 goals against. So the expectations of this crowd are perhaps a little unrealistic for them to go through and win the World Cup. But certainly if they don't get through to the second round, I think they are in real trouble. Interestingly, a group of experts, Johan Cruyff, the great Dutch player, Pele himself, Bobby Robson, the England manager, Ardiles, who used to play for Argentina, Dennis Law, former Scottish player, and Beckenbauer, predict that Mexico will go through from this group with either Belgium or Paraguay. That's in the minds of the experts. We will know later on how correct their prediction were. and past being challenged, but it is a goal kick.
I think, Jeff, both teams still trying to feel themselves out with a slowish build-up.
Now we go to Chris Cuthbert for an update.
Well, Jeff, a great start for Northern Ireland in their Group D match against Algeria. Jeff, a great start for Northern Ireland in Guadalajara as Norman Whiteside, the 21-year-old, off a free kick, gives the Irish an early 1-0 lead. We'll keep you posted throughout the day.
And now, back in Mexico City, score 0-0, almost 10 minutes gone. Still nothing spectacular. One futile free kick by Belgium. There's some hard tackling here. And the tackle, of course, followed by the almost inevitable theatrics. Chico, who is down. Referee not satisfied. Referee Carlos Esposito of Argentina. And so it's a free kick to Mexico. And a cluster of Belgian players just on the edge of the area. Fast looking a little bit agitated. Contact by a Mexican head, but well wide, and so it goes over harmlessly for a goal kick to Belgium.
Well, at this point in time, I think we've got to give the edge to Mexico, and so it should be. They're playing at home, and I think the crowd is giving them that 12th player that everyone says the crowd can give you.
I think your comments about the noise in this stadium from personal experience, Sam, are very interesting, because certainly our experience of the opening when they started to cheer and roar is that communication between the players down on the playing surface must be exceptionally difficult, and therefore the better they know each other and the better they can anticipate from previous experience, the more chance they have of taking advantage of any breaks that come their way, because certainly talking with this tremendous roar is exceptionally difficult. The Belgians a little hesitant at this stage, not pushing forward with a great deal of urgency, possibly conscious of the fact that they are less well adapted to altitude than the Mexicans, and therefore trying to pace themselves in the early stages of this game. This would be a fairly wise decision, and therefore play is somewhat leisurely and concentrating on midfield, and certainly the Mexicans not being challenged by some of the thrustful Belgian forwards, particularly Van der Eycken, one of the best strikers in the world when he's on form and when he's not marked out of the game, because he tends to be their major threat up front, but he does need support from Verkouter and Schifo and Koolman. Crowd have two things, of course, here. They have the game to entertain them, and they respond to that, but they also respond to entertainment within the crowd. Des Metz playing the role of target man for Belgium, number 10, trying to support Vandenberg, but he'll have to be able to take a lot of physical punishment as target man, because this Mexican defense is coming in quick to the tackle. Crowd roar as Mexico begin their attack. Thomas Boyd trying to find some room with that through ball, but not succeeding. The Belgian having time to regain possession and start their build-up. Koolman pushing that ball forward. So some beautiful examples of forward passing and forward thinking by that very, very threatening Soviet team yesterday against the hapless Hungarians. Best demonstration of forward thinking and forward passing we've seen in the competition so far by a long shot. Belgium building very, very quietly. Mexico not pushing them at all in this half. but having numerical advantage once that ball gets into the attacking third. A lackluster game so far. A lot of feeling out on the part of both sides.
I think, Jeff, we're seeing a pattern that's developed in this World Cup so far, that each team is willing to give the other team the possession up around the center line, but as soon as they come over, then they start to tackle. And this game has started out the same way as all the others, other than, of course, the Soviet Union and Hungary game.
Now a foot race, but the Belgian defender with a 5-meter start and easily able to handle that one. Fast, rolling it out. Been a lot of throw-outs and roll-outs by the goalkeepers and relatively few goal kicks to put the ball well upfield. Preferring instead to walk the ball out, realizing that they're not going to be put under a great deal of pressure. The field still looks very long and quite heavy. We haven't seen any slipping so far, possibly because there's been no real attempt to turn quickly in the penalty area.
I think that the field conditions may suit the team from Belgium more, that are probably used to wet conditions than are the Mexican players, who are probably used to a drier pitch and probably even a higher humidity and heat.
Not appreciated. That made clear in a vocal way. Again, the slow build-up, no pressure at all. Doesn't make for exciting football, but as we said earlier, there are no prizes for being attractive in the World Cup. Unfortunately, in some ways, there are only prizes if you win games and get more points than the opposition. And there will be very little risk-taking, certainly in the early part of this game. It's only when somebody scores a goal that there has to be some reactionary moves. Now, Belgium looking a little more threatening, but careless pass, and Mexico bringing the ball out quite easily. A little bit more of a suggestion of Belgian pressure, but once they saw that Mexico had good control of the ball, they fell back. And this slow build-up in midfield. Theo trying to find some support down the flank, but offside. And the Labatt TV series returns in a moment.
There's heart in this land, it's there in all we do. That's why hands across this country reach for the blue. And when we get together, it's a taste that's clean and true. So when you call, then you call for the blue. You know it's gotta be blue. And why you call for the blue? That's why you call for your blue. It's time to call for the blue.
Say, do you like lettuce, onions, pickles, real cool? Then you're gonna love what this side's got.
And when you taste the sizzle of McDonald's pure beef, you go crazy for the side that's hot.
And when McDonald's adds tomato, mayo, processed cheese
To the great taste, 100% pure beef.
it's too far underneath.
That's McDLT.
McDLT, it's how McDonald's makes lettuce and tomatoes sing.
It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Back in Azteca Stadium, a very expectant Mexican crowd. Still the score, 0-0. Referee Carlos Esposito of Argentina admonishes a Mexican for a hard tackle on Francis Cauteron, one of the very thrustful Belgian midfielders who plays for Anderlecht. Very much the mainstay of the Belgian midfield, but likes to go forward and score. There we see the crowd and the supporting orchestras of one sort or another and of various sizes, but all of them high in volume. Cauteron receiving the magic sponge and other ancillary sports medicine aids. The famous and feared spray that will work miracles in moments.
I think in the old days it used to be the magic sponge with the cold water.
The water bucket. Now we've gone to the sophisticated technology of the magic spray. Both having the same end result. So it's a kick to Belgium. Van der Eycken will take it. Two Mexican defenders coming in and missing it and giving a chance for Belgium to get that ball into the area. But it wasn't on target, and they get a second attempt. Oh, some pushing there by Kullerman. But the referee ignored it, played the advantage, and Larios is able to clear well downfield. We may be seeing a slight increase in tempo. A little bit of emotion creeping in. Wild gesticulations by Bruce. But of course the referee, having been selected to do this World Cup, experienced enough not to be misguided by the appeals of players. Now there's a chance here. Just not quite close enough to Sanchez there to get over it. He slid in a very fine attempt to get that ball in, but Hugo Sanchez might have gone on the scoreboard there. That was a definite threat.
Very bad clearance by the Belgian defender. Jumped on quickly by Mexico, and here comes Sanchez. And that could have been the weather and the conditions making that ball go a little bit quicker on the wet pitch, or else Sanchez could have had the first Mexican goal.
Just that yard short of pace to get on top of that ball, and that could have been 1-0 to Mexico, but it wasn't. He got foot contact, but not in any position to control the ball at all. So it's still 0-0 as Jean-Marie Pfaff just moves the ball quietly out to the edge of the area to allow the Belgians to continue with their slow midfield build-up. But a little bit more emotion coming into this game now. The crowd responding. And Mexico, had they gone ahead, we might have had problems with our eardrums. Now Belgium threatening at the other end. Desmet beating two men and getting in his cross. But the Mexican defense conceding a corner.
Belgium starting to look a little bit more dangerous in their attacks now. They finally started to come forward a bit more and more direct, and causing the Mexican defense a bit of problem.
20 minutes gone in the first half as we see the Belgians preparing to take this first corner. Very few Belgian strikers in the area, on the edge, looking for the wider ball. So it was, but not on target. The chance for a Mexican breakaway. But instead, Pfaff will get it.
I think what we had, the Belgian defender next time might strike that ball a little bit harder. We saw it slow up in the grass again. Can be very dangerous for him. But again, the safe play always brings the whistles from the crowd.
And the ball is leaving a pattern in the grass, which suggests that the Belgian request, was that ball out, a handball, or is it just inside? Just inside. Larios quite fortunate there, otherwise there may have been a kick. But again, showing the slippery nature of the surface, coming outside the area with his body, but keeping the ball inside the area. And we see when they stroke the ball along the turf, it leaves a pattern which suggests that the Belgian complaints about the length of the grass was ignored by the groundsman yesterday, possibly because the Mexicans preferred it this way. There is a certain amount of bias in certain aspects of the World Cup, particularly when you are the host nation. Now, they don't mind the back passing to their own keeper quite as much. They're not pleased with it, but it's more acceptable when it's going to the Mexican keeper Larios than it is when it goes to Pfaff. Now a chance. Flores. Servine. Can he get his cross in? No. Good coverage by the Belgian defense. Chipo harassing. Solomon's on the ball. Obstructed there, but no response from the referee. This time there is. The free kick in that case was given against the Belgian. He was quite displeased with that.
Well, the referee had played an advantage on the other one for the Belgians, and then all of a sudden called the free kick the other way. It was, there has been occasions where referees are maybe just a little bit swayed with the crowd noise as well, and let's hope that doesn't happen.
Certainly in this example that you gave in 1970, when Belgium lost 1-0, when they had to draw to go through to the next round, to the quarterfinals in fact. They lost 1-0 against Mexico in this very same stadium, and the goal was scored from a penalty which many persons consider to be very questionable. There's a good goal, beautifully head to that. Sanchez to number 3, Pirate, gets his head on that ball into the back of the net, and the team, the crowd, everybody goes wild.
Sanchez, just a beautiful ball in, and Karate totally outjumped the Belgium defense.
and directed it to the far post. A beautiful goal.
There's a bit of shoving going on in front here, which I think gave Karate the chance to shoot down like that. But what a well-taken goal. Good header.
And the very best placement to the far post and going down. Always the most difficult shot or header for a goalkeeper to take. And fast, well beaten by that beautifully directed header from a superb ball by Hugo Sanchez onto the eager head of Fernando Pirate. So Mexico 1, Belgium 0. Now this crowd have got something to shout about. The referee having a quick word with his linesman. Not quite sure what that suggests to the linesman. Maybe because there's a ball missing. Yes, it is. Or it was. The ball is now retrieved. Yellow card is being reached for. A yellow card is being shown against Mexico. Maybe they kicked the ball. I think I have the message. I think they kicked the ball into the field in their exultation. Kicking the ball into the field, so they have a yellow card. Sanchez kicking the ball into the field in delight. And World Cup 86 on CBC Sports continues in a moment.
Looking for tips on fishing? Ask a 50 problem solver.
With some rug stuck to the bottom of your boots, you wouldn't slip on the rocks.
Well, put a wheel on the front of your canoe, you wouldn't have to carry it on your back.
Anyway, a little piece of my hair around the hook, and I told you they'd bite.
Yeah, but without my custom-made fishing net,
We never catch the biggies.
You'll never find a better bunch.
50's the one.
you'll never find a better beer.
You've got it.
Got a dream deep inside. Gonna ride it to the sky. Gonna ride it and never let go. Got some heart, got some pride. Ain't a whisper of strife.
Petro-Canada is proud to support Canada's national team and youth soccer across Canada.
I'll stand with the best in the world.
Petro-Canada, our energy is Canada.
And welcome back to Azteca Stadium. What is now a cauldron of excited Mexicans. 25 and a half minutes gone. The score, Mexico 1, Belgium 0. A beautiful headed ball by Fernando Pirate, one of the best headers of a ball in their defense, from a superb ball by Hugo Sanchez. But then we saw a yellow card, and Sam will explain it.
Sanchez, I think, a little bit over-exuberant, trying to celebrate the goal too much, kicked the ball away and received a yellow card. And the danger for him now is one more yellow card and he's out of this game. And he'll be suspended for one game following. So a little bit too early to start celebrating, I think.
Very much so. But the emotions run high, and it's at times such as that that the discipline becomes so important. Every reason to celebrate, but not to kick the ball into the crowd. Foul given there. But Cowson was not too pleased to be given that foul, but there's a chance again. Beautiful attempt to push that ball through. The Mexicans now playing with increased confidence as a result of that one-goal lead. Desmet's the target man again, but lacking support.
The big danger here is I hope that Mexico, with all their skills, don't go into a defensive shell already, because it's much, much too early to start doing that.
And as we saw in the case of Italy in the opening game, there is never a time to become complacent and to fall back and take it easy, because it's too easy and too quick to have a goal scored against you as a result of a loss of concentration. And this game is only less than half an hour old, so there's lots of time.
The crowd very much getting into the action now, making an awful lot of noise.
And the Icon long ball. Good attempt in the box there. Jarrett's making the run, but no other support, and it's very difficult to see that one man can hope to take on this Mexican defense in the box. Jarrett's making a long run there to be on hand to get on the end of that ball, but outnumbered. They've got to put more men into this box if they're going to push long balls up. And certainly, as we said earlier, Larios has had a lot of training from Milutinovic in dealing with high balls. Belgium pushing forward, but intercepted. Garrett, we saw earlier, right up in the penalty area, back again in his defensive position. Van der Elst. Houghton and Cullerman's in the centre circle. Desmet, the target man, up that wing again. Fits the Mexican, and followed by the appropriate gesticulations, which we are never quite certain are true or false. Seems to be capable of recovering quite quickly. Fails to impress the referee over much, except he does get the kick.
I think they may have to add a new award to the World Cup one time, an Oscar for the best dive and acting by a player.
Long probing ball, nobody on hand. Cut up by Van der Elst. Van der Eycken pushes it through to Curleman. Looking for a give and go, but the Belgian strikers not as alert as the Mexican defenders. Savine, the left back. Negrete, very experienced player. Really a forward-playing midfielder who likes to spend a lot of time out on the left flank. El Dia, he's known as. Likes to dribble but knows when to release the ball, and we'll see him spending a lot of time on this left flank and in midfield. There's Sanchez, who took the kick from which Girarte scored. So it is another kick to Belgium. Back to Negrete, but the referee says that's no good. Was in the wrong place to start with, so let's have it where I said it was. So they'll do it again. Negrete on the ball, Sanchez alongside Thomas Boy. Belgians with their white shirts and red shorts in the area, but there was a chance there for a long shot, but that was never a threat.
It was a good effort by Mexico, though. Everyone was expecting a cross to come in, and he knocked the ball just wide, and I think Thomas Boy would like to have that shot back. I think it could have been a better shot for him.
Thomas Boy along with Sanchez and Negrete, one of the stronger members in this Mexican side. Chico on the ball. Roos puts it across. Van der Eycken trying to find something up the left. McCausen wasn't there in time. And so Mexico come away. Showing perhaps a little more pace and purpose than Belgium when they come through the middle. Curleman pushing it out. Van der Elst. Boy tackled him, and the referee somewhat belatedly awards the free kick. Seemed to have a lot of trouble making his mind up that time.
It's very hard to hear here, and maybe the players can't hear the whistle sometimes down on the field.
Right side is rather crowded by Belgian players at the moment. Van der Eycken trying to push it forward. Chance here for Belgium. Not enough pace on that ball, but got to it. The Wolf swinging it in, but nobody there, completely wasted.
What we're seeing, I think, is a little bit of what we saw in Poland-Morocco yesterday. Tremendous play in the midfield, but when they're getting forward, Belgium, they just don't have the players up there once they do get forward to make any danger for the Mexican defense.
And tending to crowd one side or the other, which suits the Mexican defense perfectly. Belgium so far having tended to wait towards the left and then eventually wait towards the right, but never make any really serious attempt to spread this defense. Mexico won't complain about that, but a mistake there might give a chance. But this ball, as you said, Sam, doesn't seem to be running with any great pace, and they're having to apply a little bit more weight, I think, if they're going to get this ball with the right pace and weight to the intended recipient. There again, only one Belgium in the middle. Vandenberg, the striker, who's had a very quiet game so far. Hasn't had much support, in fairness, but hasn't done a great deal of running to try to make himself some space.
I think what we can say for Belgium, though, is that I'm sure they came into this game hoping to keep possession and keep Mexico from scoring early, which Mexico has done, but it seems like they're still sticking to their game plan. They're an experienced team, and there's a lot of time left.
Just one goal, however, might be a very significant score in a game which following this sort of pattern. Crowd roaring in the hope that Mexico can give them another one before half-time, with about 12 minutes left in this first half. Good ball to feet, but too many Belgian defenders there, particularly in the form of Van der Elst, to put that ball out. Mexico look as if they're preparing for the long throw. The penalty area now very crowded. It is a long throw. It's a long one. See if he can retain his foothold on this slippery turf.
The referee has asked the Belgian goalkeeper, Paf, to take the bag out of his goal mouth area so it doesn't interfere.
Trying for a flick on from the near post. Didn't succeed, but he got the ball back, and they've won a corner.
Belgium, again, a little bit careless on their clearance. That's the second time they've almost caused themselves some serious problems.
Another chance. This will bend in. Trying again for that near post flick on, but the Belgian defenders anticipating that and more than adequately covering the danger. But it's another chance for a throw, this time not a long one, but a nod back and a chance for a cross. Gentle chip in, and that was a good, well-timed pass, but Van der Eycken cleared it. And we throw to Mexico, and they seem to be having some slight disagreement, and the Labatt TV series returns in a moment.
We work the CN way because our prairie's wealth depends on an efficient railway to keep costs down and make our grain competitive in distant lands. We work to increase that efficiency with double track and high-tech fiber optics cables underground, working towards a lean, compact efficiency to serve our country better, making CN fit for the world ahead.
Arby's has a new sensation with our salad story. Add our chicken fingers and you're talking glory. Our salad's always fresh, our chicken solid white meat. Any way you dip it, it's a real mouth-watering treat. And a beautiful sight, we make it just right. Arby's makes salad and chicken fingers a beautiful thing.
And back in Azteca, and Goretz to take a long throw for Belgium. That's too far for everyone except the goalkeeper, Larios. Intention was right. The delivery was a little off. See the surface there again as the Mexican slid fully 5 meters. And Pfaff decides to have a little game of his own. Van der Eycken. Colemans has got himself on the far side, but he's well attended by green-clad Mexicans who put the ball off the island for a Belgian throw.
Very interesting to see the Mexicans clearing balls like that, because in the past years when I was with Canada and we played down here, they'd always try and play their way out of situations, which got them into a lot of trouble because they are very skillful, but they're being very well coached, they're very disciplined, and they're doing the right things when they're in danger.
It could be the influence of Milutinovic, who's been 7 years with them, the European Yugoslavian international, and he may have brought an interesting blend of European and Latin American styles, which seems to be standing them in very good stead. 1 goal up, moving towards the 40-minute mark. Another chance for a long shot. Good coverage by the Belgian defence there, deflected over for a corner. That could have been very, very risky indeed.
He broke away from everyone here, and Garrett does very well to get back and slide in front of this just at the last moment. And I think the conditions could have slowed that ball up a bit, or else he would have had a breakaway.
So Flores there, almost getting a second chance for Mexico. Good defense, good recovery by the Belgian defense, but they have conceded a corner. Moving towards 40 minutes, a very crucial time for a second goal. Put in at the far post, and we not only have footballers here, we have gymnasts. Beautifully taken corner.
Corner kick to the near post, flicked on, and there's Sanchez just waiting there. And that is a set play. I'm sure they had that in practice. Flicked on at the near post, and there's Sanchez just waiting, showing us that experience that he's picked up in the Spanish league as one of their top goal scorers.
And emphasizing once again the way in which goals are scored from set plays, an enormously high percentage. And despite the fact that defenses know about this, they're very, very difficult to defend against. That was a perfectly taken corner, in-swinging ball to the near post, flicked on, and Sanchez just drove it home with his head like a bullet. 2-0 to Mexico. This crowd will go berserk. Sam, we are not going to get very much sleep tonight if this pace and game continues. They'll be out in their cars, they'll be on the monument, they'll celebrate.
One huge party in Mexico City. Tremendous goal by Sanchez on a very well taken corner. Sanchez, who's only had a chance, I think, to play in 2 games in the preparations, in the 1-year-long preparation, has fit in very well so far. Had an assist in the first goal and scored the second one himself.
Despite the yellow card. Didn't celebrate in the same way that time, I noticed. He learned his lesson the first time. Belgian front men complaining, Curlman complaining that he was very badly obstructed there, but they've got a corner from it, so they may have a chance to pull this back to 2-1 in the waning minutes of this first half. It's very important to try to score here. Mexican defense packing the 6-yard area. But again, Larios coming through with the catching of these high balls. When they played England, Larios was very suspect. England beat them 3-0. Borra has worked very hard with him since then, and it has shown 3 times today that he has gained a great deal of increased confidence in handling these difficult high balls in the 6-yard box, and prepared to come out to take them too, which is equally important.
Something again that Milutinovic, the coach, has been working on, because in the Mexican soccer, there isn't a whole lot of crosses. Usually it's a lot of dribbling and walking the ball in, so he's been working very hard. He's looked very confident on all the crosses.
Belgium showing that European touch here, the longer ball, finding the target. Showing some acrobatics from Hugo Sanchez, and Belgium decides to get that ball back to Faf so that they can start to build again. So the Wolf in possession, moving it through to Van der Eycken. This slow build-up from the back lacks the urgency which the Belgians have got to bring into this game if they're going to pull back these 2 games. Cruz there a little too closely in attention, and it will be therefore a kick to Belgium.
Right now, I think they're playing right into Mexico's 10. Mexico's playing with a sweeper. They outnumber the Belgian forwards, and every time a long ball goes in, there's usually 1 or 2 Belgian players amongst 4 or 5 Mexicans.
And the target man, Desmet, showing the hazards of being a target man, because the target man means he's the target for the ball, but of course he is also accompanying that the target for the defenders. And Desmet had a pretty rough first half. Mexican defense came out there with the offside trap. 1 Belgium was caught. The linesman's flag went up, and so it's a kick to Belgium. Larios will just put it outside his area. They may or may not give it back to him. They decide not to. And they begin their build, which has had a little more urgency in it than the Belgian build-up, and has certainly had greater end results. Belgium doubtless will be told at half-time by Guy Feast, their manager, 63-year-old Guy Feast, that they've got to put some more urgency into this game, because they may have been pacing themselves in this first 45 minutes, but the pacing has resulted in being 2 goals down. Groupe again pushing it back for support. Mexico threatening again. We're a minute away from half-time, apart from any time the referee may add on for injury. Boy puts the ball forward. Mexican up in the area, but it's 50 to Belgium.
Very impressed with the Mexican build-up. They've got a mixture of short passes and then that one quick, direct, long pass, and they're showing us some very good football.
Interesting variations, which Desmond now getting away from his marker. Vandenberg here, the big striker, but he's lonely. Close attention by 2 Mexican defenders, and Mexico showing their acrobatics again and clearing this ball out and now beginning to thoroughly enjoy themselves. Really beginning to haunt the Belgians in the last seconds of this first half. And well they might, with the confidence of a 2-goal lead, and Belgium not showing any great threat up front at all. Now a possible chance, but a lot of green shirts back. Numerical superiority undoubtedly there. So being very quick on that tackle, putting the ball out. Belgium throw, seconds left only in this half. Jarret pushing it forward in the hope for Desmond to get in his cross, but he's been very well looked after. Not always kindly.
It's going to be a long second half if Belgium comes out and plays this way for Desmond. He's up there all by himself.
Chance of a long throw, but a short throw because Desmond found space. Foul throw, for goodness sake, in international football, that's a disgrace. It should never be a foul throw. It's a simple physical act. And that is very careless. Jarret gets a second attempt to do it properly. Mr. Esposito from Argentina is satisfied with the first one. So this time it is a long one. It's a good one. Larios is up, doesn't get hold of it this time, and it has proved to be valuable. Larios failing for the first time to handle that high ball from the second attempt at a high cross, and Belgian pull back, and what a perfect time to do it.
A long throw, and it's the first one that he's missed, and there it is, the goal.
Vandenberg, the big striker who's done nothing this half, but that makes amends for everything on hand.
A great long throw. Larios totally out of his depth there, and an easy goal for Vandenberg. But what a time to score a goal just before halftime mentally. Going back into the dressing room, they know they're back in this game, and now it's a great time for a goal for them.
And if in fact they were pacing themselves physically in this first half, that goal has helped to make that justifiable. But it certainly puts something back into the game, and this crowd will be buzzing when they come out again at halftime. 2-1. Very much healthier scoreboard for the Belgians as they conclude the first half of this very interesting game with the crowd bubbling with excitement. The Labatt TV series returns in a moment.
Heat wave, feel the sunshine beating, feel the feeling of a heat wave.
Budweiser, there's no other beer like a cold refreshing bar. Budweiser, we stood it more and more. The most popular beer in the whole wide world. This bud's for you. It's got Beachwood H taste. Budweiser has great bud taste. Keep coming through. This bud's for you.
British Columbia, Vancouver, and Expo 86, a spectacular national celebration where Canada will host the world. 5.5 months of entertainment, culture, and friendly people. Come to the province you've never seen.
Come on out!
Come to a world so spectacular.
Join us!
3-day tickets and information at the Royal Bank.
Kaufman King Treads. For a tough job, get one of the toughest boots money can buy. Rugged leathers. Steel toes. Safety soles. CSA Grade 1. Tough soles. Guaranteed not to separate. Comfort from day one. Remarkable Kaufman King Treads. Tough enough to take anything you can throw at them.
Welcome back to CBC's World Cup Control Center in Mexico City. It's halftime at Azteca Stadium between Mexico and Belgium, the first action in Group B. Now let's take a closer look at the countries trying to advance out of this section. Action in Group B will take place in Toluca as well as Mexico City, with the host country competing against Belgium, Paraguay, and Iraq. Azteca Stadium in Mexico City is the site of most of the action. Truly, it is one of the best soccer stadiums in the world, and one of the largest with a seating capacity of over 110,000. With 9 matches scheduled here, it will be the busiest venue at this World Cup. In this group, the Mexicans are the clear-cut favorite. For Milutinovic, the Mexican coach has been preparing his team since 1983 for this event. He is counting on a veteran group of players who've had their moments in international play, like 1978 against Poland, when the Mexican side celebrated the opening of Querétaro Stadium with a 5-0 victory. Thomas Boy started the ball rolling with the first goal on that free kick. And Boy is in action again in 1986. There was much more for the local fans to celebrate on this day. Negrete added to the lead with an exceptional left-footed goal. And Negrete is still a force for the Mexicans. Cruz is another veteran Mexican star who could stand out in this Mundial. He doesn't hesitate to throw himself into the heat of the action, often with explosive results. And Cruz is also a precise passer and playmaker for the Mexicans, teaming up with longtime partner Flores in the middle. That combination should be a factor in the next few weeks. In their match against Poland, 3 of the 5 goals scored came off headers, Negrete scoring twice. Strong on defense, imaginative in midfield, and with good finishing skills, the Mexicans also have the further asset of home field advantage. Their faithful will undoubtedly be a factor. It's Mexico's 10th World Cup appearance. Absent in 82, they hope for the best in 86. Toluca is 64 kilometers from Mexico, the highest of the 12 cities in the Mundial, an elevation of 8,700 feet above sea level. And it's the coolest venue with an average temperature of 18 degrees Celsius. Belgium brings a gifted number of players to Toluca, including the crowd-pleasing Enzo Schifo. Jan Sullivan's an international with a reckless style, is strong defensively, has good speed, and is quick to make the transition to offense. Erwin Vandenberg is a natural, with the scoring instincts of a star striker. Vandenberg is nicknamed the Genius for his offensive creativity. Frankie Vercauteren is a talented midfielder with a devastating left-footed shot. Vercauteren is exciting, and no one celebrates a goal more. It's Belgium's 7th appearance in the World Cup, and they have a team capable of beating any other in the tournament. Paraguay is back in the World Cup for the first time in 28 years since being eliminated in the first round of the 58 World Cup in Sweden. Paraguay is not planning on another early exit from the tournament. During a qualifying match against Brazil, they served notice that they can indeed be a dangerous side. But during the last year, the Paraguayans have also shown some erratic play. Against Brazil, there were a number of anxious moments at the back. And early in the second half, they fell behind 1-0. But this team has shown the ability to come back. With their star, Julio Cesar Romero, the best South American performer last year, some experts believe this team is the most talented of the underdogs at the Mundial. Iraq is the fourth team in Group B and an unknown quantity. Like Canada, the Iraqis are in the World Cup for the first time. In this qualifying match against Qatar, the Iraqis showed good technical skill and endurance and qualified on a neutral field for the World Cup because of the Iran-Iraq conflict on the home front. They are not expected to be a factor in Mexico, but if they can produce spectacular plays like this one, they could fool all of the experts. It's indeed an accomplishment for Iraq just to be in World Cup 86, considering that there are only 4,000 licensed players in the entire country. There will be many more if Iraq can produce a World Cup result. Mexico, Belgium, Paraguay, and Iraq, Group B teams in Mundial 86. And clearly, Mexico and Belgium are the favorites. If Mexico advances, it will be cause for a national celebration. If they don't, it will be considered a national disaster. We're at halftime, Mexico and Belgium. The Labatt TV series continues in a moment.
Now when you come to Swiss Chalet, you're gonna flip.
It's hot.
It's a plump quarter chicken.
It's hot great.
It's fresh cut fries and special tangy sauce.
It's how great you feel.
All of this for a limited time only for just $3.49.
It's how great you feel. It's how great you feel.
I told you.
At the end of the meal, Swiss Chalet, okay.
Baseball excitement's in the cards. The Expos on CBC television. Complete coverage of all the crucial matchups. This season, the deck is stacked with ace players. Raines, Dawson, Reardon, Smith, Law, Wallach. It's a full house of a lineup. Grab a bench when the Expos play their strong cards live Saturday. The image of music videos is changed forever by the Canadian Brass, Sunday.
Well, Mexico gave their exuberant fans plenty to cheer about in the first 45 minutes of their opening game with a 2-0 lead, but they made a key mistake in extra time, and Belgium capitalized, and it's 2-1 at the half, and you wonder if Mexico might not have allowed Belgium back into this game, the opening in Group B. The two teams certainly following the lead of yesterday's action, plenty of goals, and we're going to take a look at a lot of the offense in yesterday's play. Argentina started it all off with a convincing victory over South Korea, winning 3-1, and Diego Maradona's play was certainly in evidence there, and Jorge Valdano was brilliant as well. But Maradona started things, the heading the pass to Valdano, and the right-footed shot gave Argentina a very early 1-0 lead, and then it was Maradona again off a set piece. The left-footer, this goal now has been given to Oscar Ruggieri. Originally, they said Valdano had his second of 3 goals, but it's Ruggieri making it 2-0 in the first half for Argentina. And then in the opening minutes of the second half, Maradona goes to work once again. This beautiful cross, and Valdano has an easy goal, his second of the competition. 3-0 Argentina. South Korea played valiantly in the late going, and they were rewarded in that goal by Park, but Argentina wins 3-1. Meantime, the biggest offensive explosion of the day came in Irapuato as the Soviets scored 6 goals, their first by Pavel Yakovenko in the second minute. And then 2 minutes later, Sergei Alyanikov with a brilliant play as his right-footed blast beats the Hungarian goaltender. The Soviets had a 2-0 lead in the first half, and then Belanov made it 3-0 through 45 minutes of play, and the Soviet Union was running away from Hungary, and they were certainly running with great ease. This is Yakovenko into Yerenchuk, and Yerenchuk is able to get by the goaltender and left-footed gently into the goal. 4-0 for the Soviets, and there would be more. This is Evtushenko moving down the field, and watch the Soviets. They lose the ball for a moment, but get it back. Complete control. The Hungarians rarely pressured them. Nice give and go here play, and it's Yerenchuk finishing it off just off the post and into the net. One of those days for the Hungarians. That made it 5-0, and there would be one more to cap it off, and now everybody in Mexico is talking about the Soviet Union as one of the favorites. This is the Lineikov moving in. He stopped, but Rodionov finishes off a brilliant 6-0 Soviet Union performance. Not as many goals, however, at Universitario Stadium in Monterrey as Morocco put up a valiant effort against Poland. This is Tamumi. His pass to Mary in the early going, and the left footer just went wide, but Morocco certainly gave Poland all they could handle in this game. This is Tamumi once again, and he'll take a blast from well out, but Milanarchuk has to make a tough stop there. So Morocco had most of the play for the first half, but Poland does come on in the late going. Nevertheless, they can't find the goal. This is Urban off the post. That's as close as they get. And Poland and Morocco played to a scoreless tie. When we return, we will have first half highlights of Mexico and Belgium, but first a look at our host venue for the day, Mexico City. World Cup 86 on CBC Sports returns in a moment.
Give me a light. No, Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer,
Thanks.
you never know what you'll get.
Nah, give me a light. Nah, Bud Light. Yo.
So if you want a light beer with a first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light. Whoa.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
New Bud Light, because everything else is just a light. Motor oil survived the punishment today's engines dish out. Circulating it twice as fast, working it twice as hard, breaking it down, and causing it to lose its viscosity. That's why you need an oil with the additive that does more to help prevent viscosity breakdown. Castrol XLR, the oil engineered for today's cars. Look for Castrol XLR at these and other leading retailers.
Well, despite a late goal, Mexico certainly had a strong first half. Let's take a look at some of the highlights as the Mexicans open World Cup 86. They had the first good scoring opportunity very early. The pass comes across to Sanchez. He can't quite reach it. But Sanchez would be a dangerous man later. There he is missing earlier, but Sanchez with this free kick here, and Kirarty is able to head it into the goal. And Mexico was off to a tremendous start in the 23rd minute. Let's take another look. Sanchez, perfect free kick, and Kirarty puts it into the goal. Good offensive scheme for Mexico in the first half. This is Suarez breaking in, and Belgium just catches him from behind. That one didn't go in, but soon after, the corner kick flicks on to Sanchez, and a brilliant corner results in a goal, and Sanchez slips into light, making it 2-0. Another look. You won't see a corner better than this. An easy goal for Sanchez. But in injury time, the long throw in, and there's Vandenberg heading it into the goal. 2-1 for Mexico. And now let's go to second half action with Jeff and Sam.
And they've just started the second half here. Started the second half on time. A little delayed for the start of the game today because they lost the tape of the Belgium national anthem. And showing tremendous innovative talent, the Mexican organizers decided that perhaps they would play the West German national anthem because the teams wear identical colors. However, all of that has been resolved. Belgium are behind, 2-1, to this enterprising Mexican side upon whom so much depends and of whom so much is expected. First 15 minutes of that half, very, very dull indeed, but the last half hour of the half livened up immensely, and we saw 3 very good goals. And for Level 4 Canadian Soccer Association coaches, it will come as no surprise that all 3 goals were from set play.
It'll be interesting to see how both teams come out now with that little bit of a goal right at the end there by Belgium. Of course, it'll give them a lift, and it was a bit of a downside for Mexico, so it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure both coaches have told them the new 45 minutes, let's start the same way as we started before.
If there is to be superior conditioning demonstrated in the last 20 minutes, it can certainly come from the team in possession of the ball now. Very familiar with the altitude, having been together as a team for 18 months, with lots of opportunity to play with one another and to become totally accustomed to playing at these altitudes. Most of them, of course, living at these altitudes. A bit of disagreement as to who should have that throw-in. The referee's given it to Belgium. Wolf, ball for Mexico, for Belgium. Good ball, tries to push out the number 5 Renkan. Sanchez in possession and going into the Belgium very heavily, getting away with it. Showing that his experiences in Spain have taught him how to take and give some physical punishment. Now the ball out of play, and it's Koeman who's down. The referee going across to check. Sanchez certainly the man who went into Koeman quite heavily when he lost possession of the ball. It seems to be the outside of the right thigh that's causing him the problem. And we have a Mexican down, receiving treatment. In feet, in pain, rather, not in feet, certainly in pain. Javier Aguirre. The Mexican side, and the magic spray applied to Tillman's right thigh. If he had a knee in that thigh, very difficult indeed, because there's a tendency for the thigh to stiffen up a great deal and makes it very difficult indeed to run. So we'll have to watch very much to see whether Koeman stays on throughout the entire second half. But everybody's on their feet again, and the game resumes. Bad ball. Sullivan still squatting on his haunches, trying to ease the pain and the stiffening tendencies in that right thigh. Be a big loss to Belgium if he has to go off. Run down the left side. De Smet still valiantly battling on, always having a Mexican in close attendance, but persisting. And the Belgian persistence paid off in the extra time seconds of the first half with the long throw from Gueret, which Larios was unable to handle properly, and the striker Vandenberg was able to bring them closer. That's a good catch this time, making up for that half-hearted punch towards the end of the first half. Sanchez on a foot race with Gueret. Gueret showing a lot of pace. Fast throwing wide to the left. Belgium perhaps decided at half-time to try to switch play a little more frequently than they did in the first half. Tillman's on his feet and looking a little more mobile. De Smet pushing the ball through, but he's offside.
Belgium seeming to show a little bit more urgency at the start of the second half. They're going forward much quicker, and it's probably the best build-up they've had for themselves in all the first half.
Gout has been told by Guy Feast that they must be a little more urgent and a little bit more direct and a little bit more forward thinking in this second half if they are to pull back that 2-1 deficit and disappoint millions of Mexicans. Through ball immediately pushed back to the supporting player. Whistle's coming, not quite as derisive as if it was the red players that were doing this. If it was red shorts pushing this back, there'd have been a much higher volume of whistling. Bruce beating the opposition in that header. Wolf. Long probing ball intended for the right flank, but badly misdirected. Servine to Boy and back to Servine. Cruz was outnumbered there, and De Wolf handled that easily, but it's handball. So it's a free kick to Belgium. Van der Eycken moved it up. De Wolf showing some pace to get to that loose ball. Desmet again in the wars. Van der Eycken going in a little high on that tackle, and emotions running high. They're going to have to be very careful here. Emotions running high and players beginning to pair off a little bit. Referee must impose his control on this game right away.
One of the criticisms of the course of the Mexican team is they have their Latin temperament. They have very hot tempers and sometimes can't take the hard tackling. And they're going to have to be very careful. They can't afford to give away any bad free kicks or get thrown out of a game.
Coutron knew where that ball was going, but didn't have the pace to get on the end of it. But the Mexican passing is letting them down a little in the first 10 minutes of this second half. They're not handling this persistent attention by the Belgians as well as they were when they had a little more space in the first half. And the Belgian tactics may be to harass them a little more. Van der Eycken going into the Mexican rather heavily there, and the linesman indicating that that was a foul, and it will in fact be a kick to Mexico, the equivalent of a corner.
The Belgian defender there wanted the ball to roll off the field, and he obstructed Sanchez just a little bit too much.
Fast placing his defenders very carefully, realizing that this is a very dangerous position. It's certainly as good as a corner. Boy and Negretti deciding which one of them shall take this. Negretti is curling it, but the Belgian defender did his job in blocking it for Coutron. Is the referee deciding that's 10 yards away? It looked a mighty close 10 yards to me, but he decides it was. Now they have a legitimate corner. Oh. That was fortunate. It was a appeal for a handball there. The referee decided that the handball occurred when the ball had gone out of play, so it is a corner to Mexico. So they've had a free kick in the vicinity of the corner. Now they get a genuine corner, so the pressure is definitely on Belgium. A lot of action in the box, but a bad corner straight to Belgium feet. Thomas Boy, but a kick has been given by the referee. A certain amount of misunderstanding all round at the moment. Chico and Desmet were moving well on the far side, but the pass was badly directed and lacked power. And the right to Jarrett, who looks around and now pushes it out to the right side. Chico was waiting patiently, and his patience was rewarded. Van der Eycken pushes it back, towards the court. Van der Elf, very slow build-up. They take a long time. First touch of the ball, not getting that ball away where they can have a quick look and then direct it. And that is immediately followed by close Mexican attention, as we see here. And now he's pulled down. Hugo Sanchez badly pulled down. There's going to be a card there. Yes, unquestionably, yellow card for taking Sanchez's feet hard and cleanly from under him. This is where that suspect left knee, but it doesn't seem to be the left knee that's bothering him. It seems to be the lower part of the right thigh, but no attempt whatsoever to play that ball, and a well-deserved yellow card without question.
I think the Belgian player was a bit frustrated. He'd been dribbling on the sidelines and been getting kicked a little bit. And then when he lost the ball, he took his own out.
And the Labatt TV series returns in a moment.
Looking for tips on fishing? Ask a 50 problem solver.
With some rugs stuck to the bottom of your boots, you wouldn't slip on the rocks. Well, put a wheel on the front of your canoe, you wouldn't have to carry it on your back.
Anyway, a little piece of my hair around the hook, and I told you they'd bite.
Yeah, but without my custom-made fishing net,
We never catch the biggies.
You'll never find a better bunch.
50's the one.
you'll never find a better beer.
You got it.
Dream deep inside, gonna ride it to the sky, gonna ride it and never let go. Got some hot, got some bright, ain't a whisper of pride.
Petro-Canada is proud to support Canada's national team and youth soccer across Canada.
I'll stand with the best in the world.
Petro-Canada, our energy is Canada.
And back in Azteca, we're pleased to be able to report that Hugo Sanchez is on his feet, again mobile. And that suspect left knee was not the one which was receiving attention. It was the lower part of the quadriceps of the right leg, the thigh muscles of the right leg. But the referee is going to have to impose his control of this game, otherwise it could get out of hand. Carlos Esposito of Argentina, because the tackling is getting very hard, and it's accompanied by the usual dramatics, but there's no question that the tackling is harder.
I think Belgium has come out to try and disrupt the way the Mexicans play, knowing that they don't like to be tackled and harassed very hard. And again, the game may be getting a little bit out of hand because there's been quite a few rough tackles just in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
We're moving towards the 15-minute mark in this second half, but at the moment there must be at least 2 or 3 minutes to be added onto this half for injury. That was a good clean tackle which went for the ball and got the ball, but into touch. Desmet comes off, and number 16, Nico Claassen, comes on. Desmet, the target man, had a very rough half of it, but has continued to strive, and so he comes off, and Nico Claassen, who injured a knee in the training match against the Pumas only last week, but presumably is fit. He plays for Standard Liège in Belgium, played in the European Championships in 1984, so no real loss of talent. There's Larios again missing that corner. Twice he's proved himself a little suspect despite some very early promise and some clean catching. But the Belgian goal came from a failure by Larios to secure possession or to punch it cleanly. And Belgium coming in again, hitting the prostrate Belgian player. So panic in the Belgian penalty area, and very wisely clearing the ball into touch. And over to Chris Cuthbert for an update on the Northern Ireland game.
Jeff, you'll remember in the first half, Northern Ireland scored on a set piece right in front of the box. Well, that's what Algeria has done 15 minutes into the second half. Zidane ties it 1-1.
And that looked a very, very fine drive to me, Chris, as we see Trejo receiving attention. Lower part of the back. Again, the magic spray at work, but showing some pain from another hard tackle as he was laying prostrate in the penalty area for a while. But that was another example of Larios not quite committing himself sufficiently to get to it. A frantic clearance by the Mexican as we see Trejo getting onto his feet again. So treatment all round, it's becoming somewhat like a battlefield down.
One of the hazards of being a defender, of course, is that your own goalkeeper can run you over, which he needs to do if he's to come out and get the ball. And in that instance, I think Larios just ran straight over his own defender. but he's had a couple of suspect catches or try to catch the ball or even punch it when he's come out on his last 2 attempts. And Belgium may start to cross a lot more balls now and try and take advantage of this.
I'm certainly convinced that Guy Thies will have noticed this, and the message will be in from the touchline. Test him with some more high balls and get in after them. De Wolf going in, getting the ball, good tackle, and clearing. Nice work by De Wolf. Oh, beautiful touch. Achieving nothing. Scrambling play. And a decision by Van der Eycken to give it to Faf so that they can realign themselves and settle down a little. That was a bit frantic and disorganized. Van der Eycken, stabilizing force in this Belgian midfield. Probing the right side to Jan Kurlemans. Dreadful ball by Schifo, but lucky for Belgium to get possession. But now Mexico and again Belgium. To and fro, tried a long one. Lots of power, but high and wide.
Again, Belgium with an awful lot of possession in this second half, and they are causing the Mexicans a few more problems. They're trying to go wide now. You see they're knocking balls out wide, and it's causing the Mexican defense a lot of trouble.
Very interesting to see in the latter stages if the Belgians have indeed handled this altitude well and paced themselves well. They have had players who last week were suffering from the dreaded Mexican stomach problems. Verkouteren was one. Vandenberg had some problems too, as did Van der Eycken. They're all playing, so presumably they are all fully recovered. A long throw, but a request here for a substitution by Belgium. Yes. Vandenberg, the big striker, coming off, not running too smoothly. That's a major loss to Belgium. And replacing him, De Mol. De Mol, a promising youngster who will add some new energy and pace to this Belgian side. Only 20 years of age, but a very confident player, an assured player on the ball, bringing some youth into this Belgian side. A very important time with 20 minutes gone in the second half. So Kurlemans clearly moved well up front for Belgium. And Nico Clausen. Bit of height and physique there to try to cause the smaller Mexican defense to panic a little bit with this increased physical contact that we've seen in this second half. There's nothing wrong with the increased physical contact at all as long as it's fair. And some of the contact has certainly not been, particularly in the first 10 minutes. So Belgium with two fresh pairs of legs on. Mexico now beginning to push the ball back to the keeper a little more, Larion.
Of course, those subs by Belgium could prove to be a little bit dangerous near the end of the game. Hopefully, everyone has been able to adapt to this altitude and handle the altitude and the heat well, or else it could tell in the last few minutes of this game.
Flores trying to move into space. Boy tries to find space there for the oncoming Belgian attacker, but his pass is misdirected. Schifo challenges, but it will be a goal kick to Belgium, which Faf will take. On clearance by Faf, another acrobatic attempt at a clearance by Mexico, which fortunately goes to feet. Boy fighting off two challenges, but taking on one man too many. DeWolf. Boy brings down Van der Eycken. First of all, reacts angrily, then taps him on the head, probably telling him to control himself. Durette to Cullermans. Cullermans coming into the game a little more now. Change position, moving more up front. Now there's a chance for Clausen. Oh, nobody there to get on the end of that cross, and a golden opportunity wasted by Belgium. But Nico Clausen showing a lot of acceleration going down that left side and getting his cross in, but no support to fasten onto the end of that cross. If you're going to have men making good runs and getting in their crosses, you must have somebody getting on the end of that ball. So Larios contemplating a long throw to the left side, but instead rolls it calmly. And a long Mexican ball. Fortunately still comes to Aguirre. Tests Pfaff. Pfaff is not found wanting. Catches it very easily. So Belgian build-up. Clausen showing a lot of crispness and a willingness to go for the ball. And they're not quite quick enough for that one. It's a huge clearance, which Pfaff will take the throw. Rather unusual role for a goalkeeper. Thomas Boy coming off, and number 7 coming on, Espana. Espana comes on in place of Thomas Boy. Brings on some more youth, because he's about 8 years younger than Thomas Boy. Had experience playing against England, so again a young, fresh pair of legs. Thomas Boy, the Mexican captain, and Espana puts the armband on and becomes captain at least for the second part of this second half. Long ball from Van der Eycken. De Mol's header very safely into Larios' head, but there's another Mexican down, hugging the back of his head.
I think maybe a clash of heads there as they both went up for the ball.
Always a danger when you're striving to get this ball and your opponent is striving equally hard. Perhaps it's the busiest men in the second half, Sam, the physiotherapist.
It definitely looked like a clash of heads. They both went for the ball up in the air, and that's one of the risks you take when you go up to head the ball, is that you know you're going to get knocked around, and there, I guess it's a test of who has the hardest head.
Requiring an enormous amount of courage. Challenge for that ball, knowing that the other man's going for it as hard as you, and it may be that there will be a clash of heads rather than head on ball.
Referee, I think, it's called for the stretcher here. Hopefully he's not seriously injured, and as you see it comes across, bang, looks like he got it right in the back of the head. The Belgian player, I think, headed him just to the back of the head. Totally an accident, both going for the ball.
And the front of the Belgian head a little harder and more used to contact than the back of the Mexican head. But perfectly fair, both players going for the ball. No evil intent at all. The stretcher bearers have been very quick indeed. He clearly is in some pain. Rayo, he's been in the wars at least twice fairly seriously in the second half.
We'll have to see if Mexico decides to make a substitution and use up some more of their subs, or if they decide to wait and see if he's fit to be able to join and come back on the field. Because they'll only be playing with 10 men for the time being.
Because of that, Larios tries to waste as much time as he possibly can. Finally kicks, but De Wolf was on hand to get that ball. Cruz, one of the Mexican strikers, Francisco Cruz, is on the touchline warming up. But they'll wait first, and Rayo is on his feet, rubbing the back of his head. Probably have a splitting headache for the rest of the day, but he has returned, so Mexico are back with their 11 men. Trejo immediately fell, but not harshly, I think, but he is again holding that ankle which was injured earlier. And the Labatt TV series returns in a moment. Having a rough time.
There's heart in this land, it's there in all we do. That's why hands across this country reach for the blue. And when we get together, it's a taste that's clean and true. So when you call, then you call for the blue. You know it's gotta be blue. That's why you call for the blue. That's why you call for your blue. It's time to call for the blue. Only you.
Just because you've washed your car doesn't mean you're finished. After each wash, you need some Armor All. On the dash, the bumper, and especially the tires. After all, when you're in love, what's a few extra minutes? Armor All. It's the finishing touch every time you wash your car.
And with 28 minutes gone of the second half, the score is still Mexico 2 and Belgium 1. And the Mexican goalkeeper, Larios, apart from that one very important mistake and two hesitant clearances, has stood up well in this game, giving confidence to his back four. Number 11 there, Jan Kulemans, much more threatening now that he's gone further forward in this game. Seen very little of De Mol, number 21 for Belgium, as we see Bora Milutinovic trying to give some critical instructions to the Mexican team. Not allowed to do this, of course, officially. He's quickly sent back to his bench if the referee or linesman spot him. Negrete, who's been very quiet for Mexico, coming in hard and commits a foul. And it's Schifo.
The game has become a little bit more fragmented now. There's very hard tackles going in, and it's breaking up the flow of play, with neither team really being able to establish a flow here.
Mexicans came out for the offside, but the Belgians were too clever. Van der Eycken fooled them, and they get the cross in. But there, trips down, and it's another free kick, and the game is punctuated about every minute and a half by somebody on the ground. It's not anywhere near as entertaining as the last half hour of the first half was, as we see Aguirre down there. We saw some rather strange sports medicine approach to cramp yesterday when Timoumi of Morocco was in some pain, and I thought we were going to see a repeat of that. Maybe it's a new technique that we're not familiar with now. Who it was that took that very important throw in the overtime seconds of the first half and has done a lot of running in this game. Now Belgium playing it rather square across the back. The Wolf had a solid game. Tries the long ball. And that will be a corner. Taken very quickly and almost ahead on it there. Still out to Verkouteren. Trying to get his shot in, but too many green-clad Mexicans. A chance for a quick break by Mexico. Espana. Negrete pushes it to Espana. It's a foot race, tries to hold off the defender. Pushes it back to support. Tried to get Espana back into the game with that through ball, but Van der Elst up to it and putting it safely to touch.
Van der Elst doing a tremendous job of covering there. His two fellow defenders were both marked and as the ball went through, he just came in behind and very confidently cleared up.
Very pleasant to see in that last minute some football, but I've probably spoken too quickly. Sanchez fell there, but it will be a kick to Mexico. The crowd now voicing their disapproval of this, but an opportunity for a long throw. We saw what the Belgian long throw did at the end of the first half. Pfaff agitated on his line and getting his defense to mark tightly. Oh, it's a kick, not a throw. But played to Negrete, missed it, a chance for a Belgian breakaway. Two men moving on the right. He elects to go down the middle. The right is still open. Kurleman's going into the middle for this cross. Too far. Wasted opportunity, and that was a vicious tackle on Nico Clausen. No attempt at the ball there. That was a very, very hard tackle, and Clausen quite naturally is very upset. But Mr. Esposito is not compatible with those thoughts, and the ball is back to Larios and the game goes on. But Clausen will speak about that, I think, for a little while.
It was a tremendous move by the Belgians, a good fast break, good build-up, and it's such a shame that the cross was too long. But Belgium, I think, very smartly there, managed to catch Mexico. They tried that short free kick in the first half, and it almost worked in a shot by Tomboy. This time they knew what was coming.
Belgium kick. And now coming on. Flores is coming off, and Francisco Cruz, who's been warming up for a considerable time, is coming on. Flores off and Francisco Cruz on. Francisco Cruz, number 5, the youngest player on the Mexican side at 20 years of age, will replace Flores. Francisco Cruz coming on to replace Flores. Youngest player on this squad, so a very young, fresh pair of legs as we move towards 35 minutes in the second half. The score still Mexico 2, Belgium 1. Negrete, who has been relatively quiet. Francisco Cruz, but offside, and in any event, very well played by Jean-Marie Pfaff in the Belgian goal, but that might have been a threat, but offside, and the threat nullified. Kurleman's trying to play much more up front in this half. De Wolf in some trouble there and putting it back to the safety of the arms of Pfaff, who hits a long ball downfield. Nico Clausen now calmed down a little bit since that very physical tackle, and the Labatt TV series returns in a moment.
The Delta Miracle Blade is making this curved cut. It's easy to make rounded forms or countertops. Your Delta Blade cuts sideways to curve out paneling or fit drywall. Groove out to conceal wiring or to fit around pipes and fixtures. Clamp a gauge block to your saw base to make dado cuts. The saw blade cuts sideways, just great for framing. Use your Delta Blade wherever you need a flush fit. Use the Delta Blade on your radial arm saw. Takes out 3/16 of an inch, will not grab or bind. Make long curved cuts for hobby work or for boat building. You also have a power rasp for all kinds of work. The Delta Blade works on all saws with a 5/8 inch shaft. We are actually cutting a circle with this table saw. It really does the job.
Visa, MasterCard, and COD orders, call toll-free or send check or money order for $19.95 plus $3 postage and handling to Saw Blade, Department in D.C., 26 Les Mill Road, Down Mills, Ontario, M3B2T5.
Back in Azteca Stadium, No change in the score. Belgium in possession. Kulemans, who went up front early in the second half, seems to be fluctuating a little more. He's still up front, but seems to be coming back into midfield much more, and he looked a distinct threat when he moved up front, and I think it would be sound policy for Belgium to keep him up there, because he's a tall man, experienced player, and has the physique to be a good target man up front. And they're running out of time, about 8 minutes left. Schifo, who's had a relatively uninspiring game. Mexicans marking very well. Sanchez came back quickly to receive that ball, but wasn't quite successful. But now there's a chance. 3 Belgians up against 3 Mexicans, but the Mexican cover comes back and plays it out beautifully. Cruz coming down this right flank with the ball, a good chance for a cross. Sanchez moving to the far post, but fast, very clean in his catching. And a little bit more end-to-end play as we move into these final minutes of this half. Belgium certainly going to have to press forward, and Mexico responding very well, marking tightly, getting to the ball quickly and pushing it through themselves. Certainly an increase in the action. That ball too far for number 17, Raúl Servín, making a lot of ground from his defensive position, but not quite having the pace to get to that one. Van der Eycken switching it across to the right. Van der Elst. And De Wolf made himself available on the far side very well indeed. Good, quick tackling by the Mexicans. But the Mexicans are going in too hard, and Munoz has got a yellow card for that very hard, quick tackle. Carlos Munoz getting a yellow card for that tackle on Schifo.
In the last few minutes of this game, there's an awful lot at stake, and you can see the tackles coming in very fierce now. There's a few of them that are a little bit late. The referee's done well in some cases to play the advantage so the game and the flow doesn't stop too much.
So the Mexicans make their wall. This is in a position where it can be dangerous. De Wolf seems to have some problem. We didn't see that. He could be cramp, of course, with about 5.5 minutes officially to go, but surely there'll be a couple of minutes added on for injury time. Here it goes, overrunning it, chipping it. And Kulemans, the tall blonde head, going for that ball, coming very, very close, but not quite successful in getting contact. Tension mounting as we move into the final 5 minutes of this half. Belgium, 1 goal down to make it a tie, 2 goals for a victory, which sounds to be an overwhelming task. And Mexico, of course, very eager to play their first game and come out of Azteca Stadium with a win and delight the entire population. Cruz it is who takes that goal kick. Gareth nods it back into the Mexican half. This looks like a pushback for the goalkeeper. Servín changes his mind the second time. Likely to lose control of that ball. Mistakes very costly in this late stage. De Wolf showing a lot of fitness, but Cruz pushes the ball out. Trejo, who's been in the wars, but he's surviving well. Van der Eycken pushing it. That could have been a mistake. Kulemans trying to seize that one, but it's a kick.
Belgium definitely picking up the pace, not giving the Mexicans any time to settle on the ball. They need to get a goal back. They have to push them a little bit now.
Beautifully controlled by Sanchez. Just pulled that huge clearance by Larios. Just pulled it down as if somebody had thrown it from 5 meters. A chip forward, but De Wolf alert, but not alert enough. There could be a mistake. Bad mistake by De Wolf, who's played such a good game. Too nonchalant in pushing that ball back.
De Wolf, a bad pass. He's very lucky that Pfaff was very alert, came out of his goal very quickly and knocked that ball away. But again, it could be just that lack of concentration in the last 4 minutes. People are getting tired.
Not quite sure what Pfaff is indicating. I think he's indicating that they're taking far too long to take this corner and wasting precious time, which the Belgians certainly cannot afford to waste. Not in fact a corner, it's a throw. Tried to flick on. Belgian defence able to handle it, but possession in the area to Cruz. They can't afford to pit-pat around in this area, this Belgian defence, otherwise these very sprightly Mexicans will seize onto this ball and it will be 3-1. Now they must move forward with pace. About 3 minutes officially left, and whatever the referee elects to add on for injury time, and it could be as high as 3 minutes. Trejo put that out of play, and there's a very anxious Belgian manager, Guy Thies. Van der Eycken putting it well up, and Larios catching cleanly this time, giving confidence to his defenders. Nico Clayton still seething from his previous contacts with the Mexican defenders and desperate to get possession of that ball. And the Mexicans content to get the thing into touch at every opportunity.
I think Mexico would love to keep the ball in the Belgium half of the field for these last few minutes, and that's probably where they should try and keep it.
But it's in their half as a result of that huge punt by Pfaff. And Clayton's trying to peel it. A nice chip. Perlemans and Larios fighting for that ball. Larios very brave to go out and risk that boot coming through from Perlemans. Van der Elst a little too close in his attentions there, and the referee gives a foul. Another opportunity for Mexico to save time. Van der Elst must be careful. He's already the possessor of a yellow card in this game. A little discussion by the Mexicans, a small committee meeting as to who should take this free kick. Precious seconds elapsing. Long ball beautifully controlled off the chest by Sanchez. What a wonderfully skillful player this man is. But that's a complete waste of a ball. After showing us that beautiful skill, he now loses possession. Chance for Belgium. But Schifo is fouled again. Hasn't looked too keen to get into the action, but he's been brought into it by the Mexican attention. Opportunity for De Wolf to make amends. Claessen's trying to run through the defender rather than go round him. We're right on 45 minutes, so it's referee's injury time now, but it could be a couple of minutes at least. Mexicans trying to keep that ball in touch as long as possible. Belgians equally eager to give it to Pfaff to send it way into the Mexican half. That was a poor clearance, but it's Belgian possession and a huge kick forward by Mexico, and that's it. Very little injury time, amazingly short. That's amazing to me because the amount of extra time due to players laying all over the field in this second half was certainly more than the 15 or 20 seconds we've had, but that is it. The game is in the charge of the referee, and Mr. Esposito decided that that was time, and therefore in their first game in the World Cup as the host in the mighty Azteca Stadium, Mexico 2, Belgium 1. And I think, Sam, we may have problems with sleep tonight.
I think there'll be one huge Mexican fiesta starting right about now. The Mexicans, I think on their first half performance, definitely deserve the 2-1 win. I'd say in the second half, they fell off a bit. And of course, the crowd just been loving this and enjoying it. And now it's going to be fiesta up until Mexico's next game. As far as they're concerned, I think they've won the World Cup.
And there is the president of Mexico on hand to see the national team open the World Cup with a 2-1 victory over Belgium. A very slow first 15 minutes, a very good remaining half hour in the first half. The first part of the second half spoiled by lack of flow due to hard tackling by the Belgians trying to disrupt the Mexican flow, and then coming to life for 10 minutes and then fading a little as the Mexicans were content to pop the ball into touch and the Belgians were desperate to get possession in the Mexican third and try to get that goal in, but to no avail. And so a very, very good start indeed for Mexico, who were predicted by the experts to win their group and go through to the next round. World Cup 86 on CBC Sports continues in a moment.
British Columbia, Vancouver, and Expo 86, a spectacular national celebration where Canada will host the world. 5.5 months of entertainment, culture, and friendly people. Come to the province you've never seen.
Come on out!
Come to a world so spectacular.
Join us!
3-day tickets and information at the Royal Bank.
Baseball excitement's in the cards. The Expo's on CBC television. Complete coverage of all the crucial matchups. This season, the deck is stacked with ace players. Raines, Dawson, Reardon, Smith, Law, Wallach. It's a full house of a lineup. Grab a bench when the Expos play their strong cards live Saturday. Are foreign entertainers taking over America?
I'd like to talk to my lawyer.
The Canadian Conspiracy. Sunday.
You put it on the air. Go ahead.
Welcome back to our World Cup Control Center in Mexico City, and indeed this city will be alive tonight as the hosts are off to a good start in the 1986 World Cup. A tremendous first half by Mexico. They were very impressive offensively, but then in the second half, as Jeff mentioned, not a lot of flow to the game, but indeed Mexico defeated a very strong side. In fact, many people expected their toughest challenge in Group B would come from Belgium, so it looks like the Mexicans are going to be a team which will have a strong chance of advancing in this competition. So a solid effort for Mexico. Hugo Sanchez was one of the stars. He had a goal and set up the other goal for Mexico. Before the competition, he said, "Don't blame me if we lose. Don't give me a lot of credit if we win." He was trying to cover both bases, but right now it looks like Mexico's off and running. With more on the game, let's rejoin Jeff and Sam.
Well, a game of mixtures in the sense that the first 15 minutes I began to wonder whether we were at some sort of funeral celebration. But then the game came into life in the half hour of the first half, and we saw the 3 goals, well-taken goals, all of them, in fact, offset plays.
As the ball is crossed into the area here, Belgium with a bad clearance, knocked back across, and here comes Sanchez, just a little bit too late, up over the goal. Good chance for them. Another look at it. Sanchez just a little bit late, but to make up for it later on, the cross comes in, and Karate, perfect header. Sanchez floated that cross in absolutely beautifully, and in went Karate. What a lovely goal, and he's very pleased with it. Another. Here again by the Mexicans. Flores breaks away. Tremendous recovery by Jarrett to be able to block that ball. Corner kick, picture book corner kick, flicked on, and there's Sanchez waiting at the back post. Tremendous goal, and very happy about it. As we see it perfectly flicked on, you won't see a better corner kick taken than that. And here as Jarrett throws the ball in, the goalkeeper palms it on, and there's Van der Kecken just heads it into an open goal. The long throw, as we watch here, the goalie just palms it on, trying to clear it. Vandenberg scores from that one. And a slow Mexican build-up, trying to clear through, and De Wolf with a mental mistake here tries to pass it back, but pass well saved, comes out of his goal quickly to save De Wolf from a very embarrassing situation.
The main thing is the hosts have won the first game. A nation is delighted. I went for a run this morning at 6:30, and the city was relatively quiet. It can only ever be relatively quiet because we have a city variously considered to have a population of between 17 and 19 million, depending on which book you read. That is, 70% of the Canadian population lives in this one city, and it was anticipating this game. The game is now over. They've won 2-1. We're going to have a celebration tonight, which might last the rest of the week because they have another game on Friday.
But again, I think the Mexican fans saw a glimpse because the first half is where Mexico really showed us what they can do. They look a very disciplined, well-organized team. Full credit to the coach. They've got a bit of skill, Mexican skill, and that bit of European football in them.
So to enjoy your celebrations of the host nation's victory, over to you, Chris.
Jeff, the way it started last night, if you had taken that run an hour earlier, you would have been right in the thick of the celebrations, and indeed there will be more tonight. In the other game, neither team really celebrating because Northern Ireland and Algeria played to a tie in Guadalajara. The Irish off to a great start. Norman Whiteside, in his second World Cup at the age of 21, opened the scoring at the 5-minute mark, and it looked like the Irish would be in for quite a day. They almost score again. Steve Penny, the corner. Billy Hamilton, one chance, he misses, and John O'Neill with the header, and that one doesn't go in, and it remained 1-0. And here come the Irish once again, and it's Billy Hamilton just hooking it by the open corner. The Algerians' best chance of the first half came here, but now Donaghy comes across, heads it away, and both players remain on the field for quite some time before getting back to their feet. Then in the second half, here's the goal for Algeria. The Dean scores it, and it finishes in a 1-1 tie. Great chance near the end of the game for the Irish. Ian Stewart on as a reserve is stopped, and it finishes 1-1 in Group D play in Guadalajara. So we've had an interesting day and a very